it won't work. Right.
Greetings. Hello, everybody. We are so excited. Cheryl and Anita here from the F.L.A.W.C YouTube video channel. Well, I don't know if it's YouTube video channel, but we're on YouTube and it's F.L.A.W.C, F.L.A.W.C. We are so excited and so honored because today we get to introduce you to an absolutely incredible person that just oozes love and compassion and kindness. Anita, would you like to tell everybody about our guest?
Well, first of all, I want to say aloha, aloha, Mindy, all the way from Hawaii. And, so I'm envisioning, I'm visualizing that I'm in Hawaii with our sister.
Yeah, girls.
So Mindy Barrett, you truly are this, like Cheryl said, this bubble of energy. And, you have some really cool stories that, I'm hoping that you'll be able to share with our listeners, because they certainly have empowered me. And I think, the very first time that you and I met, we actually met virtually, on Facebook. And you were doing these promotions and stuff. And I remember even saying to Cheryl, like, holy crackers, she's like a stick of dynamite, right? And you had, just your energy coming across on those Facebook posts were just like, magnetizing. And then, then we got to meet you in person, and then we got to travel with you. And you absolutely, like, really just right now, me just being in your energy, I'm already jacked, right? Because it's like you carry a stick of dynamite around with you, and you just, you light it under everybody or something. And so, yeah, that's really interesting. So here we are. So one of the stories, and Cheryl, you know me, I'm just gonna.
Just gonna talk.
I'm just gonna go just where the flow.
That's who you are.
Because one of the things that I love, Mindy, about you as a person, but as an entrepreneur, as a spiritual teacher, mentor, you're always just shining your light. And this story is really impactful, and I think it's really empowering. Could you tell us all how the heck you ended up in Hawaii? And because, you know what, I really think it epitomizes the standing in and living in the flow, or as our friend, Marilyn Harper likes to say, living in the slipstream. And it really is just a beautiful synchronistic flow of energy, and how you just, you just embraced it. So please tell us, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for guys having me on today. And I can't imagine Anita even more jacked than she always is. She's such a little ball of fire. I've like gasoline on it or something. That's great. So my story about Hawaii. So first there were the dinosaurs. No. So to preface just a little bit, my daughter had an injury when she was younger. She wasn't able to go to school, which put my mom and she and I in a position where we started traveling as education. And we've done that several times. And this last time that we went on a big trip was at the beginning of 2020. Foreshadowing. So we went to Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. That was our plan, right? And we did end up there, but a little different than we anticipated. So we were in Australia, and my mom got really sick. And at the time, they weren't testing for COVID. In hindsight, I really think my mom had COVID because she ended up with a bunch of blood clots. And she's, at the time, I think she was 76. Anyway, it was a big deal. And she's super stubborn and she wouldn't go to the doctor and, family time. So anyway, it took us some time to really get her to recover. And we were there on vacation and it ended up looking a little differently than we anticipated. And so what happened after we started to get her back into the point that she could travel at all was we decided to kind of limp our way back to the East Coast because I didn't feel like it was a good idea to put her back on a plane with a really long flight, which sets the person up for blood clot. So, and COVID wasn't even on my radar. It hadn't even really hit my scope. There was something happening in Asia, I mean, bless my little heart. So we finally got out of Australia and we hopped to New Zealand and we were there for a few weeks and things were starting to get slow in parts of the world. And then, so we were there in New Zealand and then we hopped to Fiji, and all of these flights are, 3 or 4 hours instead of the, 12-hour flight that it would take to get her back to the West Coast. And my daughter lived in Maui, or still does. And so we were going to hop her to Maui, so at least her insurance worked, right? So we hopped, and every time we left a country, the door closed behind us.
No going back.
Oh, that's like Maxwell Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we left New Zealand and hopped to Fiji, 2 days later, New Zealand closed their borders, and that was it. So I have goosebumps. So we hopped to Fiji, and every flight was a big deal for my mom. So every time we moved, it took her several days to kind of recover. My mom also has dementia, so there's that piece of it swirling around also. So finally, we hopped our way back to Maui, and our plan was to stay for a couple weeks and then hop again, the big hop. And everything shut down. Like, we got into Hawaii on the 28th of February and to bring my daughter home. And on the 17th, the entire island shut down and things were getting slow. And so I was kind of worried about my daughter being able to, make a living and whatnot. And so we stayed. And I wasn't really keen, at the time, you guys remember, like in March of 2020, nobody knew what was going on. I mean, the was hitting the fan, and everybody, there was lots of ambiguity and fear. And I didn't really want to leave my daughter 5,000 miles away and take my elderly mother through the gauntlet of God knows what, right? So we stayed. And it's turned out into this really amazing thing, because what we thought would be, we'll just stay for a month or two until things settle down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we all know what that looks like, right? Hawaii, 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, just lifted the ban on wearing your mask outside your house. Like, you still have to wear it in the restaurants and stuff, but you can finally not wear it outside. So they're pretty strict. But I'd always wanted to live in Hawaii, and we were supposed to. Maddie was going to graduate high school, and we were going to move to Hawaii. And my mom got ill, and Maddie had life happen, and it didn't work out. And then the universe made it work out because of the pandemic, and because my mom was ill, and it was just a beautiful example of the universe in motion. Some people call it like witnessing God's hand in action.
Yeah.
And it really has been. We had to, the theme here is hop. So we had to hop to a couple different rental houses because things were very fluid in Hawaii. And at the time, we didn't know what the heck was happening. And we hopped to the second house, and it ended up being this ridiculous place, right? Like, nobody could ever afford this place. it come on. It's like, you know, house to the stars, except there were no tourists on Hawaii. None. Zip. Zero. I paid single-digit percentages of what this house normally went for. Mm-hmm. And we stayed there for like 6 months.
Wow.
And it was great because it had a pool, and it was up in the jungle. It was just amazing. So, and now we live in Lahaina, and I have my own house.
You know, and Cheryl and I are coming to sleep on your couch. We're coming to sleep on your couch in November of 2022.
Yeah,
you know, that's great. Well, you know, and if anybody wants to know what that's all about, you know what, you can just get a hold of Mindy. And so, again, you know what, I love how you trusted the universe with that whole thing. And not once did I ever see you on social media anyways, you know, because we were following, you know, our Mindy and what was happening. And not once did I see you or, you know, ever get the indication that you were going, and freaking out. You know, you just, because of your spiritual background, because of who you are. And so that brings us to, you know, the foundation of your spiritual practices. You know, did that start with your family foundation? You know, have you always been this enlightened soul? You know, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think we're all now more enlightened than we've been previously, right? The goal is to keep at it. You know, in looking back in retrospect, I've always been a little more aware of the big picture than a lot of the folks in my age group, starting very young. You know, not now, because I now surround myself with amazing enlightened beings like you guys. But when I was young, that was not the case. and I just didn't gel with what they thought and how they handled things. And I think that's really where it started. And I, you know, found myself very drawn, even as a teenager, to alternative ideas about spirituality. You know, at the time, they were alternative ideas in my circle. Energy, whatever. So, and just as I've grown, like I think a lot of us have, it's just manifested in my life into what I do. And now I do social media for vast majority of my clients are spiritual leader sort of folks, healers, leaders. And I would have never seen that coming. And isn't that a beautiful trusting of the universe? You know, it's so interesting how so often in our lives, we just get led, and all you have to do is say yes, but you just get led to what's next. And, you know, it's up to you to say, heck yeah, let's try that. And to just trust to be able to step off the cliff, because, you know, it feels like such a big leap, when in reality, it really does. Like the next step, it really does just appear. We were talking before the show that, you know, all of us are programmed to believe that you have to have your act together before you can start something. And that is such a
BS.
Oh shit, sorry. Is that allowed? Anyway, it's such a nonsense story that we all tell ourselves, right? Is that you have to be really great at something before you can be comfortable allowing people to witness you doing it.
Yes.
And because God forbid all of us not be perfect. And, you know, the truth is, ain't none of us perfect. I don't care how good you are at anything. You're not perfect. And to just start, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Just start and trust. Trust.
Oh, where have we heard that before?
Right? It really is going to work out. And even when it doesn't work out, it's
still working out.
Yeah. Even when it doesn't look like it's working out because you either weren't supposed to be doing that, or something's better, or this hot mess allowed you the opportunity for the next fabulous thing, whatever. The pandemic has made such a huge positive change in my life that I cannot even describe. I could not even list all the amazing ways that the pandemic has changed my life. Mm-hmm. Not to diminish the carnage that it has created on the planet and in humanity. It's not a competition. It's not a this or that. This terrible thing has happened. And at the same time, it has created a lot of wonderful opportunities mm-hmm. in my personal life.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of awareness for a lot of people too.
A lot of awareness. Yeah, mm-hmm. Cool. For sure. Yeah.
Talk about BS systems coming up for scrutiny, right? For scrutinizing and communication, hopefully.
Yeah. Critical thinking.
Yeah, right.
Opportunities for critical thinking.
I have a question. Now, typically people have a catalyst or something that's influenced the direction of their lives. And I know some of your story, our flock here is probably not familiar with most of it, but can you pinpoint prior to COVID, or do you know of a catalyst off the top of your head that has changed the trajectory of where you are now?
That's a really good question, Cheryl. I don't know that there's been a specific point, but there's a theme in my mm-hmm. life that has become more apparent over the years. And I love humans.
You do.
I just love them. I love them when, culture and society says they're good. I love them when they're bad. I love them when they're inside our framework judged as messy. I love them when they're wonderful and succeeding. I just love them. Mm-hmm. And that passion of mine has been a leading instigator, or what was the word you used?
Catalyst.
That was it. That theme in my life has definitely been a catalyst to what I've done and how I've lived my life. And it's looked very different in a variety of ways over the years, but that theme has always been very, very strong. And now in this point in my life, I get the opportunity to share that love with a larger audience and a larger circle. And my little heart is just exploding with joy to be able to connect with all these like souls, whether they're in a good place or they're struggling, because, folks are struggling right now. And, this pandemic has also offered people a lot of time to spend with themselves. Mm-hmm. And, we all, like we've seen before, there's that picture of a spiritual awakening, looks like a halo, sunshine glistening off your skin. And God came down and said, be awake. That is not what it looks like. It looks like a 3-day mess bender. And I mean,
it's messy.
You're upside down. Your hair's a hot mess. Everything is crashing down around you. Or it can, it often does for a lot of people, because what you thought was true about yourself or your life or whatever, you kind of start to look at it a little differently and go, that ain't right.
And so that brings that's a really good segue into Mindy. How do you now today, with all of this catalytic change and, all of these, all the tools that you now have in your toolbox, right? So how do you show up in the world now today and express or give service with all of your talents and your gifts? How does that get expressed out into the world so that people get to know the essence of Mindy? And, you know, some people might call that your JOB or your whatever,
Right,
but we like to
wait,
verbiage it differently. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I walk around literally every day when I'm just leaving the house or before. I just look for ways to love people up. I literally look for ways to love them up. And that has turned into a JOB that is in social media. And I have the beautiful opportunity to spread messages of hope, compassion, kindness, and love through a variety of platforms for a variety of brands. And cumulatively, we reach about 500,000 people a day or so.
Wow.
And so it makes my heart so happy. And when life was normal back in the day, I traveled with some motivational spiritual healers and leaders, and the three of us did, and that's how we actually really met. And I could not be happier than being in a room full of people that are there to fill their souls with hope, compassion, and love. I mean,
and it's like, how does it get any better, right? How does it get any better than this?
It just doesn't. I'm just, gives me chills just thinking about it. So yeah, I've opened a company, and I'm so busy that I don't even have a website. I'm so busy that we haven't even expanded our own marketing department to market ourselves because we are just
trusting.
We're just trusting, and beyond the trusting part, it just keeps coming. It just keeps landing in our lap, which is how you always know that you're on the right track. Just like you guys are constantly getting new clients in feng shui because you're awesome.
Well, we're going to get more new clients in feng shui because we need to talk to her.
Well, that's right. And when you do have a website, we'll certainly put the link, because we definitely, people will be watching this in the future, and we'll make sure that they know how to contact Mindy if they too want to reach an audience of 500,000 people a day, right? Yeah. Or, by then it'll be 3 million or something, because, as we know, as energetic beings, as we start to expand our own frequency and vibration and start to elevate that we become a magnet for what we're putting out there. And so you certainly, Mindy, are just receiving back to your beautiful soul all that love and all that joy that you have exuded and poured out unconditionally out of your soul for all of these many years. And so the universe is just, it's just giving it back to you, girlfriend.
I'd be holding it up right to you guys, because you guys are exactly the same way. And I see you and love you and honor you guys for all the work you do. Your souls are just so beautiful. I love you guys. Thank you for all the work you guys do for humanity.
It's a blessing.
Well, as long as we're not scaring them.
Well, that's our own programming. I was saying earlier, wait, am I right? Is my feng shui correct? I don't want to get in trouble. And I was, recognizing my own programming, right? Yeah. Not that we're all still a work in progress or anything.
Yes, we are.
We're always learning.
Yeah. So if anybody wanted to get a hold of me, they could just reach out to me. I'm sure you guys will put a link to my email address or something.
Yeah. Well, you will put whatever you want us to put. How's that?
Okay. Well, I will figure it out. I will figure it out.
Oh man. I just adore this woman. I get the opportunity to work with her fairly closely. When we can do live events again, and virtually for the most part. And I can remember you saying at one point in time to me, Mindy, You know, people judge me that, oh, she's flying all over the world. She's always flying. And that's probably your own programming. I'm not judging, totally envious. And then you said the magic words that I thought, oh, how true. You designed your life.
I did.
Yeah.
You designed your life so that you could.
Yes, I did. And anyone can, you know, we all choose what our lives are. And not to say that anyone can just fly and move to Hawaii anytime they want. I don't mean that. I'm not that girl. But what I do mean is that you definitely create the vibe of the life that you live, and the vibe that you put out then creates and designs the framework. And I always thought I knew what I wanted my life to look like, right? But actually, it's so much better if you just focus on how you want it to feel.
Perfect.
The universe has better ideas than you do.
Yes.
You don't know. You think you do, but you don't know. And if you just focus on how you want to feel, like I really wanted to feel free. I wanted to feel like everything was possible, because it is, but I wanted to literally feel that energetic frequency, not just inside my soul and inside my body, but have it manifested into my life. And it's happened.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Don't think for a minute that I don't have a real life. Dinner still needs to be cooked. Laundry still needs to happen. The dog's toenails, they're a mess.
Still need to be trimmed.
Right. My mom has dementia. My kid, whatever. I still have a real life. I do. But it also holds a frequency of freedom. I can be anywhere I want to be at any given time. And I can make a living from anywhere with an internet connection. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that the universe has created for me out of my desire to feel free and have the opportunity to love people from anywhere that I am. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm beyond, my life has turned out in ways that are beyond my wildest dreams of how it could have turned out, because I held the frequency and I trusted, even when it looked like carnage. I mean, carnage. You just trust. And it sounds easy. I know it's not easy. It is not easy, but you do it anyway.
There's been tears. There's been chaos. There's been words we're not supposed to say.
Yes, words we're not supposed to say. There's been lots of that.
Yep.
And at the same
Totally get it.
Simultaneous time, it's been beautiful and lovely. And I hold so much gratitude.
That's excellent. So before we started this interview, we had a few minutes to chat with Mindy, and she was telling us about something that's coming up in October. And I'm going to put you on the spot whether or not you're ready to talk about this, but I really think and want to be able to support you and your crazy partner that I adore, and we want to get an interview in with her as well. Yeah, because oh my goodness, have you guys done some incredible work? Can you are you willing to spill the beans on what you have in store?
I am willing to spill the beans. It is one of those things that is not fully solid yet, but you just start because you know it's going to happen. Mills and I, my best friend Millie, and also my business partner Millie America Palmer. She's she's incredible. Anyway, she and I are going to put on a retreat for women in Fort Lauderdale in October. And it's going to be all about how to love the life you live and how to get out of your own programming and let go of all that stuff that's holding you back and just really step into it. How, like I was talking about before, how to actually hold that frequency. And even when things are
crazy,
not clear, things don't look quite like you thought they would. But you know, things have to fall apart sometimes before you can rebuild, and you have to let go of that. And but inside of a human body, inside of an emotional body of these structures that we live in, I don't feel good. So we're really gonna help people release that stuff. And at the same time, yeah, trials are fun because she and I are both
Crazy
fun magnets.
Can we come? Can Cheryl and I come? Can we do feng shui? Can we do feng shui or something?
Girl, yeah. We could use the rental house that we're going to stay in as an example of what's right and what's not.
Wow. So Fort Lauderdale in October of 2021. And then we're sleeping on your couch in November 2022. So that's 2 dates. And then we'll just see what else is possible, what else the universe wants to bring us. Because we are open to receive all the beautiful gifts coming our way. So you know what, Mindy, you are, again, you're a treasure. We treasure you. We treasure our friendship. And yeah, we look forward to being able to hug that beautiful body of yours in person again real soon. And in the meantime, you know, we'll just keep doing things virtually. And I know our viewers, our listeners are going to love
our flock.
Our flock. Yeah. And by the way, you know, flock, F.L.A.W.C can stand for a lot of things. And you know what? It really is flowing love, activating that whirling chi, or that wonderful chi that we all are. So we're all part of that whirling chi.
Come on, I actually prefer the original definition. I'm sorry, but that's just my sense of humor. The original is Fruit Loops and Wind Chimes Club. Because a consistent theme comes up with everybody that we've been talking.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, I didn't fit in. I was the black sheep. I was the one people pointed at and went, I don't like you, because we weren't the norm.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? That Fruit Loop and Wind Chime Club, actually, Lee Carroll started saying that probably 20 some years ago. And so it's a term of endearment to him, and definitely to his flock. So with that, I think, you know, we bless you for your time being here with us today. And you know what? I'm ready for the beach. Okay.
I love this topical look you have going on. Okay, I just want to say thank you for having me. And I want to say, for all the folks that don't have the opportunity because they're just viewing, great job, you guys. I'm so proud of you. You guys just are jumping in and doing it. And I'm
no plan.
Right. Whatever. It'll work out. Trust. You guys are fantastic. And you spread so much joy and love through the world. And I'm so grateful to know you. I love you guys.
Aw, thank you. Okay, and Mindy has
She has, you know what she has? She has smily eyes. Yeah, wait.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Perfect.